Today's episode is all about Metalmorph and the cards that work with it. Now, Metalmorph in the TCG was first released back in 2002 for North America in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memories video game, but for the rest of the areas that are part of the TCG format, they would not see this card until 2007 in Premium Pack 1. Worth mentioning is that in Premium Pack 1, this card was misprinted as a continuous trap instead of a normal trap, but now that we've had several printings of this card since then, we do know it is supposed to be a normal trap card. Admittedly, a lot of old school players probably do remember Metalmorph, but I am still curious the last time that they thought about it, and I also want to know if modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Players have ever heard about this card at all. It has received a ton of reprints over the years, but it's never really been a competitively viable card. Metalmorph is a normal trap card that says, target one face-up monster on the field, equip this card to that target. It gains 300 attack and defense. If it attacks, it gains attack equal to half the attack of the attack target during damage calculation only. So that might not seem like a lot, but I do remember using this card back in the video games. It was okay in those really old video games because it pretty much lets you run over like any monster. As long as your monster has a decent amount of base attack points, Metalmorph will probably help you run over whatever you want to. And that was pretty cool in those old video games. Now, compared to a lot of the other traps that were played in old school Yu-Gi-Oh, maybe not as good, but it was still a way to gain a lot of attack. Metalmorph also, though, had some unique uses when equipped to specific cards. For example, in that same Forbidden Memories video game where Metalmorph came from, you would also pull Red Eye's Black Metal Dragon. Now, I believe in an older video I've talked about this card before because it does have a very interesting mechanic that we usually do not see on Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Red Eye's Black Metal Dragon is a level 8 Dark Machine monster with 2,800 attack points and 2,400 defense. It says cannot be normal summoned or set, must first be special summoned from your deck by tributing Red Eye's B Dragon equipped with Metalmorph. Now, this card might not look that crazy, but what is very strange about this ability is that it does not start a chain. That means if you have that Red Eye's Black Dragon equipped with Metalmorph, you can tribute that Red Eye's Black Dragon and you can just pick up your deck and then special summon this card immediately. Your opponent has no chance to respond. Besides this monster, there are only a handful of cards that do this. You have the other Metalmorph monster we're going to talk about in a moment here, you have Dark Sage, and you have the familiar possessed monsters, but besides those, you don't really see this type of effect. Now, the way you would do this at a tournament is you would tribute that Red Eyes and declare that you were special summoning a Red Eyes Black Metal Dragon from your deck, but especially in those early video games, it was a very weird mechanic and one that we really have not seen very often in modern Yu-Gi-Oh cards. There are tons of monsters that summon themselves without starting a chain. However, most of them come from the hand or graveyard, not really the deck. So this card is one of the few cards in Yu-Gi-Oh that has this effect. Then in the 2003 video game, the Falsebound Kingdom, we got more cards that worked with Metalmorph. So we got Zoa, a level 7 fiend normal monster with 2,600 attack points and 1,900 defense. And this card's flavor text says a monster whose full potential can be achieved when outfitted with Metalmorph. The combo it's referring to here, of course, is when you use Zoa with Metalmorph, you can summon Metal Zoa. Now, Metal Zoa is a level 8 machine effect monster with 3,000 attack and 2,300 defense. It is very similar to Red Eye's Black Metal Dragon. It says, cannot be normal summoned or set, must first be special summoned from your deck by tributing Zoa equipped with Metalmorph. Now, these cards were not very good at tournaments. I've already said that, but I feel like they were ahead of their time. The ability to combine a trap card with a monster to special summon a larger monster from your deck was pretty crazy for 2002 and 2003 in Yu-Gi-Oh's history. Back then, we didn't really have that many special summoning effects, and these ones where you can summon specific bigger monsters were pretty unheard of. I would even argue that back in the day, these cards might have seen play if the metal versions actually had real effects on the board. The summoning condition is pretty difficult to get to. You have to summon these higher leveled monsters and equip them with a specific trap card, but maybe if the payoff was there, people would have tried it out. There certainly were plenty of ways to special summon Red Eyes Black Dragon or Zoa to the board, and then it would have just been a matter of getting to the Metalmorph. Now, if that was all there was to the Metalmorph story, you know, maybe I wouldn't have made this video. Just one trap card and 2 cards that you can summon if it's equipped to specific cards. However, in 2004, in Rise of Destiny, we got a new version of Metalmorph, Rare Metalmorph. Now, what's funny is that if you were not in North America, but you played in the TCG, you would have gotten a chance to play with Rare Metalmorph 3 years before you were able to play with the original Metalmorph, because Premium Pack 1 was released in 2007. Still, what always was really funny to me about this card, especially back in the day, was that despite being called Rare Metalmorph, which does sort of imply it's a better version of Metalmorph, this card is worse in pretty much every single way. Rare Metalmorph is a continuous trap, and yes, it really is a continuous trap this time, unlike the original, and it says activate this card by targeting one machine type monster on the field. It gains 500 attack. Once, negate a spell effect that targets that monster. When that monster leaves the field, destroy this card. What the heck were they thinking with this? I understand why it can only equip to machine type monsters, I suppose, because yeah, with the original Metalmorph it changes Red Eyes Black Dragon and Zoa into machine type monsters, so I understand the reference that they're making. But why does it only give it 500 attack? Yes, that's 200 more than the base increase of the original Metalmorph, but now we don't have that other attack gaining effect that was a pretty big deal on the original card. The spell effect protection is okay, I suppose, in some situations, but not really that great. Maybe if it protected your card from a spell one time, just in general, instead of just a targeting effect, that might be okay if you could protect your monster from like Dark Hole or Regeki or whatever. But because it specifically requires a targeting spell effect to work, this card looks pretty bad in terms of protection. Furthermore, it's important to remember once again that Rare Metalmorph was released 2 years after the original Metalmorph. And while we kind of lump the entirety of old school Yu-Gi-Oh together in one broad category when talking about it in modern times, you have to remember that a lot changed in 2 years for the game. Rare Metalmorph should have been a lot better if it wanted to have any chance of seeing play at all, so by making it a more specific card, because it now only works with machine type monsters, and also by making it a worse card in terms of its effects, yeah, it really had no chance of ever seeing play at tournaments, especially considering the original Metalmorph, which this card is pretty much worse than in a lot of ways, didn't really see that much play at tournaments either. I think that this idea was really cool, the original idea of Metalmorph upgrading your monsters into bigger monsters, but obviously because of the time period, they weren't really willing to push it that far. I think that Metalmorph could see a retrain in the future. It could be kind of cool, but in modern times, these cards are all but forgotten. Anyway, that is all for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure to type in the comment section below when the last time that you thought about Metalmorph was, so that I know how many of you guys actually have heard about this card. I'll see you later. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.